In the name of Allah, Most Merciful, Most Compassionate, and good afternoon. I'm so happy and pleased on an annual meeting to talk about the next year budget. And before I start, I would like to draw your attention to key points. The first one, the directives of the custodian of the two holy mosques was very clear to make sure the implementation of a budget in alignment with the resources and to ensure its implementation in high efficiency. And the second point, we have witnessed the statement of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister a little time ago, which was talking about the role of the budget in to provide services to citizens and to raise the quality of such services and raise the jobs creations for the citizens, to make sure the empowerment of the private sector, and to make sure that having clear-cut programs to implement and execute these strategies. And His Royal Highness stated in his statement the resilience of the Saudi economy to withstand the shocks that we can see in different parts of the world with the high efficiency. And as His Royal Highness underscored the growth of non-oil activities despite the geopolitical tensions. His Royal Highness confirmed the support of the public finance and its sustainability and the public debt management wisely, and the kingdom has succeeded in reaching the structure reforms for the global that I will address later on. So I will cover in this press conference a number of points. The first one, the economic developments. And I'm going to talk about figures of this FY 2024, and I'm going to talk about the next year, FY 2025. I'm going to talk about as well some structural reforms which are significant for the Saudi economy as a result of the reforms under programs and the projects and the strategies of Vision 2030. And as we can witness, and this is I think it's very important standing and the position for this conference, the economic indicators on the medium run, it's very optimistic and positive, building on what we have achieved in the last version of the conference. We identified that the nominal GDP has achieved great growth from 2015 to 2023. This growth persists by 64% to 4 trillion and 100 and of nominal GDP, and for the real GDP as well, despite the huge decline in non-oil GDP, but this is continued to growth of GDP, and this is we can see on this growth will continue for about 4.6 for the next year. And the inflation is contained and under control despite the international inflation. We have reached 1.7 this year, and it's expected that this will persist the inflation over the medium run to less than 2%. The most beautiful thing in this slide, very important elements that we should focus on. The first one, very significant structural reform, the private investment contribution to GDP in different countries takes long time and slow change. It's hard to change as such in a very short span of time from 2016, so the launch of Vision 2030 until to this date, excellent change in this percentage, 52% to reach in the mid of 2024 to 24.75% of GDP. Such a structural reform is very important, reflects the confidence of the private sector of what's going on at the national level. The expectations and the projections for non-profit, non-oil is projected to reach 3.7%, and such changes, I think, can 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 reveal the hard work for the strategies implemented with the high efficiency and the huge spending from the public finance and huge spending from the private sector as well to leverage from the economic opportunities results from the Vision 2030 and the economic opportunities. Regarding the projections of the closing with the spending 1.44 trillion and expenditure 1.32 billion and deficit estimated at 115 billion Saudi riyal. What do this such figures mean? That the expansionary spending focused on the impactful sectors which impact on the lives of the citizen. Secondly, the direct impact on the national economy, creating job opportunities for citizens, and we have seen huge jumps if we look into the numbers of Munshaat, and from the GStats we can find huge jumps in SMEs, which sees this kind of opportunities created by this economic cycle and government spending, and reflect another fact that we have addressed before, which is the numbers of the budget persist as for the four consecutive year with the revenues higher than the planet in the budget when announced last year. This is a good evidence that the government takes the transformation and cautious approach for the non-oil and oil revenues, and the results of the spending enhance and reinforce the economic cycle and develop non-oil revenues. We will continue in the next year budget, and we see growth increasing in oil and non-oil revenues or in economic indicators. Regarding the next year, God willing, the budget 2025 will increase spending compared to what announced 2.7% compared to last year, and the total expected spending 1.85 trillion US dollar, and the revenues will be within 184 billion Saudi riyal, and the deficit is 1.101 US dollar Saudi riyal. This means that the expansionary in spending to enhance the services provided to citizens, and raising the quality of services and expanding such services, and focusing on the strategies with the great economic impact on job creation and business opportunities and sustainability of the national economy, and completing giga projects started over the last years, and to link the economic ecosystem integrated technologically and infrastructurally. The spending on sectors, as you can see on the screen, we have about 65 billion of the next budget will be on the education, health, and the social development and the municipal services. And this is the key pillar and the pivotal the pillar of under the direction of this government. God bless it, and God bless the leadership of our country. The distribution of sectors. This is taken into consideration the focus of the strategies and the projects with the impact on the nation, on the business development and sustainability of this economy as well. Regarding the revenues on the medium term, I would like to remind you that the revenues in the announcement of the budget taking into the cautious approach, and we expect the revenues one point and 198 billion, and revenues 1.184 billion Saudi Riyal. We will take the approach for generating benefit for this nation, for the citizens, and for the services provided for our citizens, on business development created by this economy, and on the job creation created by the national economy at large. Regarding the expenditure, it's expected to grow on the medium term to reach 1.194 trillion Saudi Riyal, and this is one of the long-term financial planning executed and undertaken by the government over years and months to have a sound financial planning with the high accuracy, high efficiency, which of maturity regarding the priorities of spending and efficiency of spending, and financing these strategies with the long term impact. The investment of such kind of such figures. This is investment in our citizen, and investment on the services provided in this economy, in this the future of our citizens in this economy, and the sustainability of this national economy. Regarding the deficit persists as planned on the long medium term to 140 million billion Saudi Riyal, taking into account the cautious approach in estimating the revenues. And we have included in the statement of the budget published on our website the number of scenarios for the estimation of revenues, in which the deficit will decline in some scenarios achieved. But for the cautious approach, we take this conservative approach in the estimation of revenues and the deficit as well. In the next slides, I'm going to talk about a very significant of points which haven't been addressed and discussed in the the budget statement, which is the structural reforms, which take years. We can see at the right side the expenditure increasing by 33% annually on the projects, the high quality project, strategic, and the strategy with impact, and the Saudi Vision realization programs. 38% an increase annually since the launch and inception of the vision until to this date, and this number will increase as well. And for the expansionary spending, will focus on such strategies and such projects. What was the result of this increase in spending? The result was the information on the left hand, the contribution of non-oil activities to GDP from 47% in 2016 to 52% in by the end of the first half 2024. And this change, it was hard to achieve and accomplish in only in 6 years the structural reforms wouldn't take place in 1 year or 2 years, and the part of the results of the spending that we can see on the right hand we cannot see today, but it will take years. Such projects under construction which have come to the production, which is project building economic cities which are not in operation yet, or full operation or full motion yet. The second point, it's very important for the sustainability of the public finance, which is increasing the non-oil revenues over the years 2016 to this date, and the increase by 154 trillion. So what does it mean to have a clear picture, to have revenues, non-oil revenues at 47 billion Saudi riyal? It means the Saudi economy has reached a phase which can withstand the oil price fluctuation and volatility. If we look at 10 years ago, we have seen the direct impact when the energy prices decline, and the budget will be impacted, and the economy will negatively impacted. And when the prices rise up, the inflation increases, and the disruption of the project will increase. The big difference right now, we have this kind of spending continue with the support of non-oil revenues. Such continuation, the stability of spending, not to be impacted by the fluctuation of in revenues, is very important for healthy national economy. This slide reflects on the contribution of private investment to GDP, which is about 52% over the 7 years, and this is a substantial and structural change. The contribution of a private investment, which is about 24%, this is structural change, huge, substantial ones, and the contribution of oil to GDP is 28% compared to the contribution of the private investment to GDP, 24%, and we can see the huge impact of the private investment. The other point, which is non-oil exports, and this is one of the key focus. This is can create economic sector which does not depend on the local demand but can globally compete. We can create highly competitive industries with high quality, creating industries, attracting high quality jobs, and exporting outside the kingdom. So this is the expansion in such projects is great and can help largely to balance of payment. What does balance of payment means? To get the hard currency, bringing it to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the currency that we can get and generate from the oil and other exports. The third point, which is the number of the Saudi people working in the private sector. As a result of the expansion of the private sector, we have seen an increase of the localization and Saudization of this is jobs. This is structure reform. 24 is not an easy figure, or can be achieved easily in over 6 years. The final number, which is very important and significant as well, and if I was asked at if I was asked at the personal level, what is the economic sector in Saudi Arabia which will have impact on the balance of payment after the oil from 6 years, I wouldn't mention tourism at all. I wouldn't. Tourism doesn't have any impact, and negative. What we spend outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is higher than what is spent domestically. So this is we have reversed this equation, and we can see right now the highest factor impacting this means that the money generated by tourism inside the kingdom is the tourism sector. That's 48 billion Saudi riyal by 2023, and by 2024 we can achieve more than that. What what is our plan on the medium term, and what is the government plans? What is the main focus of the government? I'm gonna talk. I will try to be short as much as possible. First of all, we have a giga project which we started and we should finish, and such projects include transport, and raising the quality of life, projects related to the quality of life, for instance, King Salman Park, and projects supporting the health of our citizens, such as the sports trail and other projects, such as linkage of the infrastructure of some giga projects, such as Gidea, Red Sea, Neum, and Raya projects. And the second point is strategies. This is one of the key points which have led to this kind of structure change that will continue to support the sectoral strategies. And we have strategies for the regions, for Mecca region, Asir region, North region, Riyadh, and the Eastern regions, and other regions across the kingdom, so as not to forget some names. So, however, the most important part, which is the sectoral strategies, I will mention five sectors, not only to mention but a few, but the largest five sectoral strategies. First one, the industrial strategy, which is very significant sector, and central one in number of tracks to have a national security. It means that you will be less exposed to international risk, and the creating jobs, and to export and to compete globally. And fourth, which is the balance of payment, to raise the exports and to increase the support of the balance of payment. And the exports have two coins, have to replace the imports, to reduce imports, uh, 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 to and to export and to compete globally. This can enhance the quality of local products. This is on the industrial front. The tourism, we come to the second front, tourism and its enablers. And we have witnessed the impact of the tourism in general, and not domestically but at the international level. Tourism, one of the biggest sector generating jobs, and we have witnessed as such in the kingdom. It's one of the largest sectors which can help in balance of payment. And we come to spending on the projects that we have discussed on, and directly on the tourism sector. In this framework, this context, to enhance a sector, very important sector for the national economy, to create job businesses and business opportunities. The third one, which is enabler one, and it has its direct economic impact, which is the logistics and transportation sectors. We didn't have any industrial and effective one without having a logistics sector which can help to move such industries and push it forward to outside our borders and for the local markets. We didn't have such a kind of industrial sector without effective ports and effective airports and effective railway networks. We didn't have tourism sector without having transportation system which can facilitate tourism. The transportation and the logistic services has a direct benefits to creating logistic zones to leverage the position of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, linking three continents. And the Minister of Transports play an instrumental role in ports, network and railway, and as well as the logistic zones. The fourth one, which is energy sector. Energy sector, when we talk about and wouldn't talk about oil, I'm talking about in a broader concept, the renewable energy, gas, and gas networks, and the desalination plants and the power plants, and I'm talking about supply chains for the renewable energy. And I'm talking about, and His Excellence, His Royal Highness, the Minister of Energy, addressed this point. The fifth one, which is the military sector, and the Minister of Defense has completed the 10-year plan, and the military sector started to implement this plan, and what is related and associated with it, which is the military sector. The military spending is associated by localization of this such industry in the kingdom, and His Excellency, His Royal Highness, Crown Prince, addressed this sector, and I wouldn't repeat what his Royal Highness, when he confirmed and underscored the importance of the localization of this sector. The sixth one, which is the Saudi Virgin programs, and we have addressed as past, and we have find valuable insights and information on the website. I highly recommend to refer to look into the achievements and the budget statement. We have some paragraphs about such programs. I'm gonna pause, and before I open the floor for a question, allow me 3 points I would like to underscore them for their importance. The first point, we have the forum, the budget forum, which will be attended by the Royal Highnesses and Excellencies, the ministers. They were talk about the achievements that in their respective sectors, and what are the future for their plans for the next year. So I highly recommend you and invite you to participate in this forum tomorrow. And the second point, this press conference is related to the budget, and please try to precise and short related to the budget, to focus on our this conference. I'm really pleased, and I'm pretty sure that their excellences will be more than happy to address the question outside the scope of the budget. So I will start from right to left. In the fourth row, please, the floor is yours. I will start from right to left, and please be ready to ask your question. Ahmed Al Jaid from Rotana Group. The kingdom still record deficit in the budget with the high revenues, and the growth in non-oil activities. So what is your plan to reduce this deficit over the next years? Abdullah from اليوم newspaper. My question regarding the destructions and demolition of houses for the public interest, and the government has a mechanism for the compensation and its impact on the budget. Please go ahead and ask your question. The fourth row. Amal Said from Aukazi newspaper. Your Excellency mentioned that the deficit that we can see a growth, a rapid growth for in the public debt. So, what is your policies and the plans to control and to contain public debt? My question, Your Excellency, we will see the uh, uh, the uh, the transfer of Aramco assets to PIF and its impact on non-oil activities. So I will be short. I will take for a question first, and I will try to be concise and precise. Ahmed, your question is very important, as a matter of fact, regarding the deficit, and which is associated to the question, the primary question regarding the debt ceiling. First of all, it's very important to look into the public finance in its broader concept and context. It means revenues and expenditures, and when we talk about expenditures, when we will fund such expenditure in addition to revenues, if you have reserves which we can take from such reserves, and if you have you don't have reserves and you are not willing to draw from reserves, to look into the level of the debt. Are you willing to borrow if the return of the spending from debt would be higher than the cost of this debt? So you should consider the debt instead of reducing spending as any other investment at the personal level or at the corporate level. So as long as the return and revenue of the debt when you borrow and spend such kind of amounts higher than the cost of the debt itself, so the debt is still sustainable but can reach a stage. You should be cautious if the return of such debt when you spend will be less. So you should stop as government, and the level of debt still less than the most other countries in at G20. I think, if I remember well, it's the less among G20 for the percentage of GDP of debt to GDP, and and we have this kind of space to borrow for the next years, and to accommodate within acceptable levels for the GDP, as long as achieve economic targets will which lead to structural reforms, as I have addressed before. Mr. Abdullah, you asked about the demolition, and this is out scope of the budget, but it's being a key concern of some citizens. It's very important to reply. The demolition is done for the public interest, and the law has been modified to make sure that those who um, appraise the property are certified by independent authority, which is a very professional people, highly qualified for appraising the property, taking into consideration the value of the property as land, if is it commercial, residential, and the constructions and the building, and the quality of the building and the properties on the land, and the impact on the property owner. So this is adopted by the government in the least scope. So we wouldn't appropriate the property if it's not necessary. For instance, for what we are talking about, the for the Jeddah slums, we didn't have any other option, and the decision was had a huge impact on citizens, especially the people, the people, to make sure of their safety, security, and their quality of life. And such slums constitute threats to the public safety and security, and the government allocated huge financial resources to compensate the property owners in such slums, even if they don't have deeds, taking into consideration and appreciation of their situation, the owners of such properties. In 2024, that we are talking about 55 billion were paid as a compensation, and more than that will be paid, will be reimbursed next year. Your question, I haven't caught your question about the Aramco assets, and I haven't heard the question well. However, in general, talking about when the Saudi, when the Aramco assets were went for public offering, and we have a number of targets related to transparency and disclosure, and monetizing such assets to support what's going to the national economy for PIF, Public Investment Fund, and we're able through such public offering IPO, we have generate 16% of Aramco to PIF or the affiliated companies, and this is enhance its financial ability by dividends, distribution of dividends, and its ability to borrow. For the time being, we don't have specific plans to transfer more assets to PIF, but it will be announced for any transfer of assets on the due time. But I would like to underscore, which is very important for the public finance. Public finance can have three sources of revenues from oil through Aramco company. The first one, which is the revenue of oil, which is the percentage, international percentage taken, but the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is 15% of the sales of Aramco sales of oil. So 15% is away from the revenues of the sales of oil sales, reach to the treasury on annual basis to finance the revenues that we have mentioned before. The second element from oil through Aramco, which is taxes. Aramco by law pays 50% of its profits as taxes. So this element comes in regular basis each 3 months to our treasury to finance the spending and expenditure. The third point, which coming from oil profits, is profits, and the profits. So what I would like to clarify, away from our ownership of Aramco assets, we will have 100% of the taxes, and which will be decreased based on the percentage of assets to which is the part of the profits, and we still have 83% of the profits. Please, the floor is yours. Ask your question. And for on the second row on the right hand, yeah, Salah Al Ghaidan from the Saudi channel. Your Excellency, from the budget statement, the taxes revenues is 360 billion Saudi riyal. So where such revenues are spent, and what are the benefits for our citizen? And the second question, in last December we made some calculation for the one of the best countries in supporting social support. The number is 15% of the budget when calculated, which is considered social support. The social support cannot go in parallel, because being fragmented between different government agencies, we need to have a single agency to raise the efficiency of spending to be reflected positively on the citizens. Thank you. Please go ahead. uh, Abdulaziz Al from Al News Channel. Your Excellency mentioned to a number of reports to lack of the financing capability for some giga projects. I'm talking about the NEOM project. So, what is the direction of the government to prioritize the importance of such projects to be financed? Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Milham Sky News Arabic. As you mentioned, Your Excellency, that inflation rates will persist over the next years based on the rate recorded in October this year, with the historic rates of employment and with the decrease of the supply on goods. And so, what is the policies to contain this? Is inflation to be in accepted levels, and in your perspective, what is the accepted rates of inflation or levels of inflation? Hey, good afternoon. Suleiman Anezi from how can we do alignment between the spending efficiency and to and the projects that are consideration under consideration, and how can the Saudi national economy can absorb and withstand the future shocks? I will answer the question, and if we have enough time for the citizen accounts and support provided. Um, First of all, I don't think that the support provided in alignment with your calculations is the full support. If it's 15%, it's not a complete one. Uh, the support or subsidies exceeding 60% or 50%. So, um, when we provide, when the government provides, and I'm gonna come refer back to different sectors. uh, I will come back to these slides for the different sectors, various sectors. For health and social development, 260 billion Saudi riyal for the this is for a free health services are provided for a free, and this is as directed by the government and our leadership. And for education services, 200 billion Saudi riyal for free, provided for free, including the university education. In most countries, they are not provided for free. When we have security prevail, so because the government spends for highly qualified security personnel and the infrastructure of vehicles to provide this kind of security, and the equipment and technology, we have spent 121 billion Saudi riyal. This is direct support for the safety and security of our citizens. And this is if we look into the infrastructure and the transportation, and when I built ports and enable and empower the different transport services for our citizens, this is direct support to facilitate and ease providing such services to our citizens. When I spend 270 billion Saudi riyal on military sector to provide security to protect this country. This is not expensive at all. This is, as I said, this is supporting the national economy and the growth and the prosperity of this country for the protection of its people. And um, and uh, and and I think what you mean is that the social support, and when we talk about social security and the citizen accounts, we have a lot of work is being done in this domain to raise the efficiency of such support, and part of which has been achieved, and we have seen structural reforms that we have seen related to the structure of the social security system. We have witnessed the royal decree issued yesterday from the custodian of the two holy custodian of the Holy Kingdom, based on a recommendation of His His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, to provide and to continue with such support for 2025 for the disabled and for the needy students, and part of which will need some reforms to reach the eligible and entitled individuals. And we have the Ministry of the Ministry of Human Resources, and the Ministry of Economy, and Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Housing, and the municipalities, and the Ministry of Transport are working together to do this kind of to address this topic. It's a very important one. Abdelaziz talked about the financial capacity, and I think it's very important to pause a little bit for one moment to focus on this topic. First of all, we should distinguish between public finance and the PIF. PIF is a sovereign investment fund for the assets for the next generation, and PIF has independent governance from the public finance. It's totally separate. And the finance, the BIF builds corporates with the independent board for such for finance. When we talk about NEOM or Gudea projects, or Diraya Gates, or Red Sea Global, for each one of them has its own company established and created by AF, and with the board, with the financial resources from the PIF, and they are accountable for such, and they have their projects and the plans and the strategy and the timeline and modifications and auditing, which is required by the circumstances and situations, economic situations, and geopolitical and the finance. This is part related to PIF, and the PIF can be asked the project change every day for different circumstances and scenarios. So we should focus on the larger picture. The second important element in this regard, from my own point, the unjustified concentration on projects rather than NEOM is 50 years. It's not so one for 5 years or 10 years. We have multiple projects succeeded, which started with the operation with high quality and operational efficiency, and spending, such as Diraya and Red Sea Global, and other projects. And every day we have a new projects and start to operate in full motion. We should recognize such effort to achieve historical in a very short time with high quality and high efficiency. The other part, the public finance, and I would like to confirm regarding the public finance, as the BIF had its own governance, public finance had its own governance through the financial committee, and we don't have a strategy or a project from now to 2030 in alignment with the plans, without any financing mechanism and sustainable financing mechanism, which will not impact the public finance, because the ultimate goal is not to impact the public finance. If we wanted to maintain sustainable economy, we should maintain public finance, and this is what we do. Mr. Faisal, how to control inflation. The government is able to do as such as it has done when the global inflation rates increased by 15% in Saudi Arabia, was contained within 6 to 2%. We have different tools and under our disposal, and we have seen as such in the kingdom, and to make sure of the availability of the food stock, because the scarcity generates higher prices, and this is required strategic plan which is implemented for long period of time, and this is we can see the results, and this will protect us in the future, God willing. For the spending efficiency and uh, and the impact or the balance between the spending efficiency, and I'd like to confirm that the good spending on the projects should be efficient spending, goes to its right place with the efficient amount, sufficient amount. If we have excessive spending, this is waste without any economic return. So I wouldn't have this kind of contradiction between spending efficiency and the ability to finance a project, economic project. We'll have one question because of the time. As long as the question, one of colleagues is, what is the expected inflation rate? We don't have we don't have any rate, approved rate, which we target for inflation. But globally speaking, 2% or 3% is acceptable level of rates, of inflation rates. Ahmed Mamrouga from Electrodia newspaper, you mentioned in your statement regarding the inflation, and there is a decline 1.9 to 1.7. My question in this context would like to know the efforts put in the government for the economic development to reduce to support the citizen in the light of this inflation. The government, under clear directives of the custodian of the Holy Mosques and the Crown Prince, and wouldn't save any efforts, spare any efforts to serve the citizens, and I would mention some examples, and I mentioned before the extension of the of citizen accounts. It was planned to end this year, and the royal decree was implemented to extend the citizen account to face the rising prices in this period of time. However, we can see some decline of the prices, and the go is going down. And as based on the statistics and numbers of the G-states, the government spends a billion today to pay to Aramco in return for fixing the fuel prices, for capping price full pricing. I'm talking about spending millions and billions. Thank you, and I will repeat that our forum tomorrow. Hopefully, we can see you. I would like to conclude expressing my deep thanks to the leadership of this country for unlimited support and wavering support that we receive as ministers and the government staff in different sectors, and we pray for them. I would like to thank as well. I would like to thank as well with the heartfelt to the defense security in different sectors, for the security personnel who exerts the precious to have this kind of conference and stability and security, and our national economy has this kind of stability to feel safe and security at our homes. Would like to express my deep thanks to them. As well, I would like to thank a large group of our citizens, large segments, including the ministry staff and different government agencies who exert. I swear by God, I'm so proud of them. they exert a huge efforts to achieve the targets of Vision 2030 to realize prosperity of this country and the growth of this country. And I express my deep thanks and heartfelt thanks, and see you tomorrow. Thank you.